Hello, everybody, and welcome to the our live question and answer session on the new Second Step Elementary Digital Program. My name is Matt Pearsall. I am the Community Manager at Committee for Children, and I'm really glad to be able to bring you all here for this this first ever event for us. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. Committee for Children's offices sit on the unceded traditional lands of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the first people of Seattle, Washington, the Duwamish tribe. As we honor the Duwamish people and their ancestors, it's also important that we consider our place in the past, present, and future history of the Indigenous people of our region, as well as how we can best support them. Thank you. Now, I'd like to start our Q&A session by introducing today's guest, Kate Tovias, who is the Senior Education Partnerships Manager with Committee for Children. Kate, welcome.
Hi everybody. This is great.
Yeah, so I want to thank everyone who submitted questions ahead of time. So people in our Second Step Educator community are watching today, as well as people on Facebook and Twitter, and people who have called in with questions as well. So we've got a bunch of those to start. But also, if you're watching this live right now, and wherever you happen to be on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, feel free to put a question right there in wherever in the comments, wherever you happen to be, and we will see them and we will try to get to them. So with that, let's get started. Kate, so one of the questions that we've been getting, I think probably one of the most common questions we've been getting is whether this new digital program is an update to our classroom kits or if it is something completely new.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Matt. I'm really excited to be here to talk to all of you. This is a really exciting time at Committee for Children, so that we've just launched this digital product. So yes, I'm excited to answer your questions, and please keep them coming. So yes, it is an updated curriculum. We came out with our kit-based curriculum, our 4th edition of our kit-based curriculum in 2011. And so this year in 2021, we launched a fully digital curriculum K-5 to relatively seamlessly in line with our 6 through 8 digital middle school program that we already had in market. So yes, this is an updated curriculum, and yeah.
So it's separate from the print kits.
Yeah, absolutely. It is separate. It is a different program, which you're probably asking, well, can I teach them together? And the answer is not really, no. So we don't recommend that you teach them together. They have some different language in there. It's a fully digitally delivered curriculum. So there's no, there aren't any puppets. There's not any posters yet. That might be something coming down the road, but not yet. So when you have the puppet scripts, for example, in some of the early grades, you wouldn't necessarily want to have the digital program as well, which has different language associated with it. So you're going to want to have that common language school-wide, and so you want to teach one or the other, and you do have that choice.
So another question we've been getting a lot is, what are the differences between the two? Because we're not discontinuing the classroom kits where you have both these programs available at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So like I mentioned, it is a digitally delivered curriculum. So it's no longer a tangible product. So you have the kits, and you may think about, every teacher in your school has a kit, or that grade level has 3 sections. So every single teacher needs that kit. This is different in the sense that it's a digital license for your school. So everybody has access to the materials online. So it's delivered, all media, training, implementation resources, everything is online versus inside the kit, if you're familiar with the kit-based option. The lesson format is different in that it's still student-facing content. It's not a one-to-one program. It is facilitated by a teacher or by an educator in the classroom. It is using the fully scripted lessons, so that is actually similar to what you've seen before. So you have the lesson script, if you will. So you'll print out a lesson plan versus having like the lesson card that you might have been familiar with the print edition. The number of lessons, there's a difference there too. So when you in the kit edition, you had 25 lessons in 4 units. In this in the digital product, you have 20 lessons with 4 units. So it's a little bit different. And then that 5th lesson of every unit in the digital product is something called a performance task. And so that's where students can really show you whether they have met the objectives of that unit at the end of the unit. So, and it's across the board, meaning across grade levels, they are 20 lessons all the way through K through 5, which is different from the print product as well, in the sense that they had a different number of lessons per grade level. Some other things to think about: there's more consistent time to teach in this product, in the digital product. So K1 is 15 to 20 minutes, and 2 through 5 is 25 to 30 minutes. So it's pretty consistent along that time if you're looking to put something into your master schedule in the school day, if you're a principal and you need to do that. And then all of the units are the same across the board. So you'll notice in the print program, there's different units in grades 4 and 5. And so there's 3 units versus with the digital product, you have 4 units all the way across the grade level spans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then family materials, there's beginning similar, but there's family communication tools rather than home links. We found through lots of research that the home links weren't necessarily being used a lot. So then we decided to do weekly family communications that can be to families, they can be put in a newsletter, just an easier way to connect with families. There are PowerPoints. So if you do an open house, there's an open house flyer. So those kinds of things are very similar. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see a lot of the same language throughout the program. But so like the problem solving steps, we still have those in the digital product, just like we had those in the kit-based product. But you'll see something different in the sense of like the calm down steps. We don't want to teach kids necessarily. I mean, we do want to teach kids how to calm down, but we want students to be able to have their own agency in how they calm down. And we want them to build on what are the skills that I can bring to myself to help me to calm down. Instead of, if you're familiar with the previous, with the kit-based product, you will see that we had calm down steps, a specific way to calm down. And that's not necessarily what we want in terms of, we want students, we know that students all have strong emotions. We all have strong emotions, but how do you want to calm down those strong emotions and get you to a place where you can problem solve? So those are some key differences. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Anya Marie on Facebook has a couple of questions. The first one she wanted to know is, kind of, I think along the lines of what you're asking before, the themes that kind of cut across the program, are they similar in the new program to the old program?
They are similar, but also different. So you'll find in the kit-based program, that first unit was called Skills for Learning, whereas the first unit in the digital product is called Growth Mindset and Goal Setting. So different focus. We aren't necessarily telling you how to manage your classroom. We want to get to the point of the students, and we want to build those students' abilities to what is my goal, and that might be that I'm taking out the trash for my family 4 days a week, or that might be that I'm gonna get 100% on my spelling test, or whatever that goal might be. How do I achieve that goal? And the growth mindset around that, and building your brain. And so another key difference that I'll share right now that I forgot to share is that the brain builders were K through 3 in our print product. The brain builders are K5 all the way across the elementary school grades in the digital product. So they are so that's kind of fun to build your brain consistently all the way through the program.
I think, and Anya Marie had another question that we've heard a lot. She purchased the program recently, within the last year. Is the the program that she purchased, is our classroom kits, are they outdated now? Are we still going to support them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And no, they're not outdated. I mean, there's an update that we have with this digital product. Don't get me wrong. So there's an update, and we've done lots of things to update for the times and to have SEL for now, right? And whether you're hybrid, whether you're remote, whether you're in live instruction every day, it's a flexible program for you in terms of that digital product. We are ongoing supporting the kit-based curriculum too, and that is an evidence and research-based product. We know it works. It's been very successful for districts, very successful for schools, and if you choose to stay that way, you should, in the sense of if that's what you want to do and that works for your community, absolutely. We also have this digital product available for you in the sense of moving towards wanting to have a digital curriculum and that flexibility of that digital curriculum as well. So that's a great question. I hope I answered that for you.
And you mentioned something that the KIT program is evidence-based, and we've seen several questions around that for the digital program. Is the digital program evidence-based? Is it research-based? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, so the KIT-based curriculum is an evidence and research-based curriculum. So what does that mean? It means we did a whole bunch of research, lots of studies, we have a research team here at Committee for Children that spends every day doing research. And so lots of research behind that, our 2011 edition of the product, and tons of research around, and that's research from a teacher advisory group, from Facebook communities, that's research from, any number of things where we get feedback, where we get, where people are doing research, anecdotal research, all of those kinds of things. So there's a lot of research that's gone into both of these products. The difference between the two is that the 2011 edition, the KIT-based curriculum, is evidence-based. And what does that mean? It means it went through a comprehensive randomized control trial, or an RCT, if you will. And so that took a number of years and came up with data that supported the evidence of using a social emotional learning program, AKA second step, in your classrooms, and it worked. It met the needs that you wanted it to meet. And so it's based on a randomized control trial. We have a brand new digital product that just came out on the 15th of March. So we have not done an RCT on this product, and because they likely take a year or so to complete and then get published and all of those kinds of things. And so that is on the roadmap, of course, to do, but right now it is a research-based product.
Thank you. So, and another thing that's new right now is this. It's not actually a K-5 program; it's a K-8 program now. Can you talk a little bit about? I think that people are confused about what they're getting into now that we refer to this as a K-8 program.
Sure, absolutely. So we have kind of created a streamline, if you will. We believe really strongly in implementation, and the strong implementation. We believe in teacher-led implementation. And we want schools to have a common language throughout the school and common themes, and be able to have social emotional learning embedded in everything you do. And so what we've done is we've created K-8 licenses and that's our pricing model, if you will, and I can touch on that in a little bit. And that's our pricing model. So basically, if you have a building who's K2, you have a building who is K6, K8, K5, 6, 8, whatever the makeup of your building, the pricing structure is based on the building versus the makeup of the school, the grade levels associated with the school. So you purchase for that building, and you have a K8 license. We launched the 6-8 curriculum in 2017 and then revamped it and launched basically again in the summer of 2020. So middle school, grades 6 through 8 has already been out. What we've done now is we've launched the K-5 curriculum. And so it made this a seamless K-8 model for pricing in a sense for you to purchase for your schools and or districts or organizations, wherever you're from.
And while we're talking about that, let me put this up. I've got a slide to share. So this is our pricing. Can you walk people through this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the top section, are you buying for a single school? So a single school is literally one school. And so what is the size of that school? So that's based on enrollment. So let's go medium. The digital licenses are purchased by 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year subscription. And so that's something to think about when you purchase a digital license, is that you need to renew it. And so, any sort of digital product. And so versus the tangible kits are a one-time purchase. And so let's think about when you're one school and you have 475 students in your school. So you're going to go to this medium level, and you want to think about whether you want to renew in a year, you want to renew in 3 years or 5 years. And based on how much your budget is as well. So you can, so the 1-year subscription is $2,630 and then on up. With that being said, that is every single person in that building has access to the curriculum. So really pushing that school-wide language, that school-wide teacher-led implementation of the second step curriculum. And then moving to the second part of this slide, are you buying for multiple schools? So if you're a district person watching right now, this is how you would want to purchase for your district. Or if you're a charter school company in the sense of you have multiple schools that you're purchasing for. So it goes from 2 to 4, 5 to 19, 20 to 49, and then 50 plus. And there's a little perk. The more schools you purchase for, and that's where that discount square is, or rectangle, or whatever you want to see that. And then again, it's 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year as well. So dependent upon how many schools. And then of course, we always have that 10% discount at $10,000 or more. And so that's kind of the very brief synopsis of pricing. I will say about pricing as well is that if you have purchased really recently, and I think that's a question in the chat, if you have purchased really recently, I encourage you to reach out to your contact at Committee for Children, because there may be a way to move you into that digital product. So I think there's someone talking about 5 elementary schools and a middle school. Absolutely. We want to help you. We want to get you into this digital product if that's something that you're interested in. So please feel free to reach out to us. If you have a contact, reach out to them. If you don't, please call our second step support, and they will direct you and triage you to us, or help you as best as they always do, and get you what you need.
Right, and I've got the information right up here. I'll put this up again at the end of our conversation for how to reach us if you want to reach out to get more information.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're always willing to help. So please reach out. Yeah.
So there's a few other questions that we've gotten around the pricing and how we're selling the program. I think one of them is that currently there's a lot of schools where what we would call a counselor-led implementation, where there's one counselor who has one set of kits, and they travel from classroom to classroom implementing the program. Is there a way to support that sort of implementation as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we really want to support that implementation, but we also really want it to be an implementation with fidelity, which basically means a teacher-led implementation. And so we really want that common language throughout the school, and that common language of social emotional learning, and kids are problem solving in this way, and kids are managing their emotions, and all of those kinds of things. So we really want that to be, and one of the things that has always been a struggle for the counselors that I've worked with is that they can't get to every single one of those classrooms every week. So we want to be able to have not only the counselors to have a license for the or access to the digital product, but we also want the teachers, because if you also remember with counselors, a lot of times they would come push in and teach the lesson, but then they would want the following through activities with the kit-based curriculum to be done by those teachers. So you had to kind of hand off the kit, or you had to, say, do this brain builder, or whatever the case may be. And with a school-wide license, everybody can have access. And so they can, the teacher, even if the counselor delivered the lesson, the teacher could also log in later and do that brain builder game multiple times a week, or do the activities on the extension activities, as they're called in the new digital program. But also, if you are wanting to do counselor-led, again, I encourage you to reach out to us, as there are discounts in the sense of wanting to do a counselor-led, and we offer those discounts for a year. And so we want you to be able to get into the program and determine kind of where to go from here in terms of implementation.
Thank you. And another question that we hear a lot is that there are schools where they're only using the program at certain grade levels at this point. And I think this is kind of a general thing where people are really used to purchasing by grade level rather than by school size. What does that look like for schools that may currently be just doing it at K through 3?
Yeah. So again, sort of same concept as the previous answer to the question, in the sense of that we want you to have a school-wide conversation. We want you to be delivering this school-wide. So, and it might take you a minute to get there, and we understand that. And but we want you to have access to the curriculum. And so the pricing is based on buildings. And so we no longer have individual licenses, which if you're familiar with the digital program for middle school, if I can get my words out, excuse me, we used to have individual licenses for specific grade levels. We no longer have that. We do have this single K-8 license, this universal license that is designed to go to schools. If you are a K-3 building, then you would want that site license. If you are just teaching in K-3, you still would want that site license, and hopefully potentially move the needle to grades 4 and 5 as you move through that implementation. And again, you can purchase a 1-year, 3-year, or 5-year license with this. So you could potentially start with K1 and move through that implementation, or you could start by having, you've got teachers all the way across the board that are like, I absolutely want to do this. SEL now, like I want to do this. I want to do this with my kids. And because you have that site license, you're able to have, they're able to have access to the program. So it is a little different now. It's very different in the sense of purchasing a kit per teacher versus purchasing for the whole school, especially if you're just doing a K1 or K3 implementation. Absolutely.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask about Spanish support. Right now, there is not Spanish translations of the lessons. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what the roadmap is for that.
Sure, absolutely. So we know that this is a very big item that we need with the program, and we know that we had or we do have with the kits Spanish translations. So we are committed to providing Spanish versions of our programs. Absolutely. As we work through the schedule for the translations and the technical implications, of providing the program in another language, we will obviously gain better insight of the timeline. But there's a couple of things that I can say will be coming. The family letters within the digital product will be translated by the fall, by back to school time. So you will have those if you plan on launching in the summer. It is our intention that the first unit of the elementary lesson plans and student handouts will be available also by the start of the school year, so by fall. And that's mid-July. So I guess I correct myself, that's not fall. Mid-July is still in summer. So let me correct myself, mid-July. But as you go back to school is what I'm intentionally saying. And so we will continue to provide those updates on additional unit time frames as we have more information, but know that it is a priority, know that it is extremely important to us. And we are working as fast as we can to get those translated for you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question that came in recently is, does this program have something similar? Does the digital program have something similar to the Principal Toolkit that's available for the classroom kits?
Yeah, so it is different in the sense of the Principal Toolkit for the kit-based curriculum was a binder. It was a separate binder, and then all of those supports were also online. So what you'll find is many of those supports are all online within the Principal's Toolkit, which comes with your site license. It's called the Principal Toolkit in that digital license. Once you log in and create a class, you will see that the Principal Toolkit, and if you are logged in as an administrator, and all of that will probably become very familiar with you if you actually purchase that digital product, you log in as an administrator and you have access to that Principal Toolkit, where you will find school-wide communication tools. You will find the reporting, in the sense of a very different concept than having those kits, is that we have the ability to see the usage data of this curriculum and see who's teaching it, when they're teaching it, if they got through the whole lesson, in terms of your own planning, your own implementation at your school, and knowing that usage data. So that's where you'll find reporting information. That's where you'll find, I said, school-wide communications, and then support in different areas of the program. So it's different in the sense that it's digital. There still is a whole number of implementation tools on there, including your staff orientation PowerPoint to kick off your implementation. There's a mid-year check-in. There's an end-of-year check-in as well. So lots of things provided for you, as if you're familiar with Second Step at all. we don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. We want to be able to do these things for you. And so you'll find a lot of those materials still consistent, just not necessarily in a binder as you might be familiar with in terms of the kit-based program.
So let's say you've just gotten the program, the digital program, and you want to start right now. Like, do we have recommendations for that for kind of switching mid-year?
Yeah, absolutely. So the recommendation, honestly, is that you start at lesson 1, is that you start the program. So I would, if you're in the middle of a unit in the kits and you want to move seamlessly to the digital product, I would finish out that unit so you're getting that language in there. And then I would move right to unit 1. I would start with lesson 1. The lessons and the units very much build on each other, developmentally appropriate for those grade levels. So I would start with unit 1, and there's 20 lessons. So you could get through a number of them in the course of the spring. And I mean, I can't imagine goal setting would be a bad thing to start with for any grade at any time, especially as you move into those warm months. And a lot of you are just coming back to in-person learning. So setting those goals, what does it look like different from when you were at home learning, and engaging in those in those lessons. So yeah, start with lesson 1, start with unit 1, and start and go from there. And if you don't finish it, that's okay. You can always start again at the beginning of the school year. And yeah, we just want you, it all builds on each other. So we really want you to go in order.
So I've got one last question that's come in for you, and it's around the diversity and equity lens that we've used for this program. This is something that's come up a lot. We recently put out a large update to the print kits to address issues of diversity and equity and implicit bias that were in that program. What have we done with the new digital program to kind of to address those issues and make it as equitable of a program as we can make it?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question, and I appreciate the question. It's been a question I get to work with districts all over the northeast of the country. So this is a question I've gotten a lot. We had multiple culturally responsive teaching consultants on this on our product team that were helping in the creation of the lessons and the creation of the materials, and they were always there in the sense of creating content that had an equity lens to it. I will also say that the program is very seamlessly aligned with the CASEL competencies and the new CASEL competencies of agency, belonging, and identity. And so you'll see a lot of lessons associated with building your students' identity, building your students' agency, helping them feel safe and supported in that environment, and building that sense of belonging. But as the students also get older in this program, we also want them to affect their communities and building their skills, their SEL skills in the community, as well as internally in their classrooms and in their schools. So we really want the students to feel safe, feel supported, and feel that way in their own way, in the sense of we want to create mirrors and windows for students, if you will. And so that's what we did with these lessons. So you often will go through and some students will recognize things and connect them to their life, but they may not in a certain lesson. And we hope that the next lesson or the next photo will connect with them. So like, for example, there might be a picture of a hike, and maybe one of your students hasn't ever been on a hike. What does that mean? But what are the things in that lesson that they're talking about? What is the objective of that lesson? What are the skills that you're trying to gain? And even though it's a picture of a hike and you're not connecting with that, what can you connect with in that lesson? What can you build in your own social emotional skills from that lesson and that concept of whatever that lesson is teaching you in terms of social emotional learning? So we really wanted to create a cohesive program. It's a universal program. It is taught, it hopefully ultimately will be taught worldwide, but throughout the country. And we know that there's many different settings, many different ways that children grow up, many different cultures. And we wanted to be able to again, create those mirrors and windows for the students. And hopefully the students can identify. Our ultimate goal is the students will identify with the program and be able to build their social emotional skills with that program, knowing that they can make that change. And the adults can make that change going through that program with them.
All right, well, thank you very much. And we don't have any more questions that have come in at the moment. I think we're coming right up on our time, so things are timing out well. So I just want to say thank you so much, Kate, for joining us. I really appreciate you coming on and answering all of these questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And if you have a question that didn't get answered, or you are watching the recording of this and you have questions that you would like to get answered, I encourage you all to visit our educator community on Facebook. This is a great place where you can come. You can contact us, this community, and get answers to your questions, not just from people like Kate and myself, but also from your fellow educators across the country and around the world who are using the Second Step program, who can help give you kind of answers informed by the reality of teaching on the ground. So please come by, check it out, join. We would love to have you as part of the community. And I also promised that I would put up the support information. So if you want to contact us, if you've got questions about purchasing the digital program or migrating from the print kits to the digital program, or you've just got general questions about anything involving our programs, please reach out to us. Our client support team is standing by, and they're fantastic people. Kate is included in that group, who would love to be able to help you out with your questions. So thank you all again for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time, and we hope to talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.